Hi everybody and welcome back to the Crafty Crew podcast. My name is Kinger and as always I'm joined by Mark.
Good evening.
By Nally.
Well.
And by Walshy.
Bunu Ziwa.
Balls, what?
Oh, that's a good one.
Buna Ziwa.
Can I go Swaziland?
I mean, you can, but it's wrong.
I'm going to guess Cambodia.
No. Romanian.
Oh.
So it turns out we had a few minor technical difficulties this week. All was going well with the recording and everything got saved, and then I didn't save my own audio. Luckily, we record using Discord and all of our conversation is recorded there separately. However, we hadn't started a recording until later in this episode. So here's Mark telling us about the White Hag in Sligo.
So Sligo it is. So our brewery today from Sligo is the White Hag Brewery, founded in 2013. So they say they came together with the ambition of building an innovative and ambitious brewery with an eclectic team from across two continents. So kind of an interesting story here. So we have two main players. We have James Ward, who's the founder. So he's a publican in Sligo. And he worked then in the States as a craft beer distributor. In 2013, well, I guess in say 2010s, he started seeing the success of the craft beer industry in America and wanted to bring it to Ireland. So in 2013, he set up the White Hag Brewery with a guy called Joe Kearns, who is a brewer from Ohio. So Joe had been brewing since his teens. He started brewing stouts for his dad. And they became they started as a Father's Day thing. He's like, give me $40, I'll brew you a stout for Father's Day. We can drink it together. And then it became every month and every week and stuff. So eventually 2013, they set up the White Hag. They have their core range of beers. They also have quite a few, seasonal beers, like the Spree series. My personal favourite is the Shamrock Shake they did for Paddy's Day. I really hope it comes back. I'm really looking forward to that. They do a range of sours as well. So the one we're trying today, the Puka range, we're trying the dry hopped lemon sour. But they also have a berry and hibiscus, a lime and mint one, and an apricot one. So a load of good sours there, which is unusual for a brewery to have a range, Most of the time they only have a sour or maybe two sours. But this place, they've got their sour range, which is cool. Another interesting thing about them is they're based in Ballymote in Sligo. So, yeah, grand historic town. But there's one very famous person from Ballymote by the name of Andrew Kerrins. Okay? Anyone know who he is? No? He's the guy who founded Celtic Football Club. So, I thought that was interesting. Celtic was founded by a monk who comes from Ballymote in Sligo. So, I think Celtic should get in touch with the White Hag and do a bit of partnership there. I think that'd be cool. But the name as well. The name's super interesting. So the White Hag comes from an ancient Irish legend. Fionn McCool was captured and imprisoned in the caves near the town by three hags of the Tuatha De Danann. So, and one of these hags, her power was that she could take the form of anything or anyone. She was known as the White Hag. James Ward, the founder, he said he always wanted to have an Irish kind of name, but that one that was linked inherently to the culture and the area of the town. So the White Hag, and I think it's quite fitting because a hag that could become anything or anyone, their beers can be anything, for anyone. So I think it's a nice little juxtaposition there. So I'm really looking forward to trying this.
And here's Nally telling us all about Meskin in Mayo.
So the brewery we have from Mayo is Meskin's Brewery. They were founded in 2013 as a brewery. However, the two lads who are the heads of it, the founders, they were brewing together since 2010. They met as vets over in England. One of the guys, Bart, he's a Belgian national. And then the other guy, whose name escapes me at the minute, I think it's Killian. Let's go Killian. Apologies if it's not. He's a dub. And they met in about 15, 16 years ago now at this stage, and they just start brewing together and met small kits and stuff. And it says they were brewing every week for about 2 years to get all of their recipes down and get them perfected. and then eventually they set up just near Croagh Patrick. They set up the brewery there, which is it's pretty cool. It's a good location for it and everything. So they're using all the well water from around the place for their brewing. The name, no more than yours, Mark. The name for this is pretty good. Meskin. So I don't know. Does any of you know who Meskin was? But he was the fair play. I didn't realize it was on the label until I checked everything out. I was raging. But yeah, so Meskin was the brewer for St. Patrick. So apparently a lot of, meeting all the chieftains and stuff like that, a lot of it came from this brewer making some savage beer, which let St. Patrick meet all the chieftains and get in there. I mean, that's a way to anyone's heart, just someone making some really good beer. That's it. So that's where they got the name from, which is, it's a good name. It's no more than yourself, Mark. It's something good for the local area, like, building the brewery next to Croagh Patrick and naming it after St. Patrick's Brewer, which is, it's a good little nod. So what they've done is they've decided that they were making a lot in the kind of Belgium style beers, because Bart is from Belgium. They kind of went down that road. I don't know if anyone's had any Meskins before. I know, Kinger, you've had a few of them, I'd say. But their Belgian style is pretty evident whenever you have them. It's definitely something that you can tell influences them.
And now we can get back to the episode as normal after my monumental fuck up. So apologies to you listening. Apologies to the boys in the Crafty Crew podcast. I'll learn from my mistakes and I will save everything from now on. Enjoy the episode. Okay, so what are your first impressions of this, lads?
Yeah, so the smell of it is definitely Belgium-y from the start. Like, it's got that kind of floral spice kind of smell. So you can definitely tell it's got that Belgian influence. The spices that you get coming through are very clear. Like, the head's pretty decent on it. It's staying there for a while. Hasn't gone anywhere yet. And as for color, it's kind of like that straw yellow, maybe slightly golden, but not overly so.
Very hazy as well, wouldn't you say?
Very hazy, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
The head of mine poured quite large as well. I don't know.
Yeah,
If that's...
same.
Mine was okay, and mine poured a bit large, but it very quickly came down, and it's kind of normal now.
Yeah, same. It might be, Kinger, that you have the Meskin's glass, and maybe that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, mine went a little high as well, but as we established off last week, I'm not great for pouring.
Mark and Mochi, have you had a taste yet? I'm very intrigued to know what your thoughts are.
Yeah. So my first impressions of this, because of the spiced floral notes, it's a little bit tart, and it actually is reminding me of a sour. Now, I don't know if that's because there's one in the episode later and it's in my head, but it's got a little bit of a kind of tart, spicy profile to it that I like. The mouthfeel is quite good as well. It's a little juicy for a lager, which is not a bad thing. But it still kind of retains some carbonation. I would say it's a bit less carbonated than most lagers, I think. What would you think?
Yeah, slightly. It's a strange twist on a Belgian style. Like when I think Belgian, I think something that's quite severe is probably the wrong word, but what you're getting with a Belgian. I think the lager element of this kind of smooths that out a small bit, which is why I enjoy it. I wouldn't be a massive Belgian fan, so I think this is a nice take on it. Walshy?
I think, to an extent, if you had poured this into a glass and told me it was a Belgian beer, I think I'd believe you. I could, sipping on it, I kind of nearly automatically am like what would you compare it to? I nearly kind of get like a Whole Garden or a Blue Moon kind of taste off it. So it doesn't really remind me of any of the real lagers we've had, which is, as we've all established, is quite good for any of us, considering lagers wouldn't be our first choice if we had to choose from any, So
yeah, and actually, so touching on that, Nally, as our resident lager hater, What are your thoughts?
I like Mexicans usually. They're good people. They make nice beer. I love the Belgian influence, as we established when we did our Trappist episode. They're like one of my favorite styles of beer. Just Belgian beer in general. I love them. I'm confused, I guess. I mean, they've taken one of my favorite styles and then they've bastardized it by making it a lager. So kudos for trying it. But yeah, no, those Belgian notes are still there, and it's quite floral and spiced like that. The kind of cardamom and coriander flavors that you get from Belgian beers is still kind of there. Like you were saying, it's still up front. You still get the smell, but when you drink it, there's something at the end that's distinctly cat
Yeah.
pissy. Like it's nowhere near it the whole way through. It's just when you get to the end, it's right at the front of your mouth, and you get that cat piss.
Yeah, I think that's definitely probably its biggest characteristic is that it's very Belgian at the front, like as soon as it's in your mouth, and then when you've swallowed it and it's kind of left a little, your taste buds, what's left on your taste buds is way more lagery. The Belgian dies off really quick,
Which is a killer. I mean,
Yeah,
if you
well,
just
for
did the
you,
Belgian
maybe,
part
yeah,
of
for
it,
you.
just do the Belgian part of it, and you're onto a freaking winner. Like, stop messing about with Belgian beer. Just do it right.
So we had a discussion on this podcast a while ago, where we were kind of disagreeing on a beer. I can't remember exactly which one. And Ali was like, "Oh, if you take a big swampy mouthful, it's a completely different profile to if you just take small mouthfuls." And so ever since then, I've been kind of doing both when I'm trying it. And I think the bigger the mouthful you take, the more Belgian you get in. So if you're taking sips of this or small mouthfuls, kind of the Belgian's gone so quickly, that kind of Belgian ale flavor, that you're just kind of getting mainly a lagery taste. So this is something you want to be like horsing into a little bit to kind of have that nice, pleasant, spiced aroma at the start.
Yeah, that's 100% fair. I'll give you that. It is definitely better when you take bigger mouthfuls. Now that could also be because I'm getting rid of it quicker. But yeah, it's definitely better.
This is kind of like another discussion we had as well on a previous episode, where if you take two distinct styles and mix them, would it be a good or a bad outcome? And this is kind of taking a Belgian style and mixing with a lager, which it's a strange mix. Do you know what I mean? It's a really strange mix.
Yeah.
I have had this before, and I kind of drank it without the knowledge, not knowledge, without caring that it was a Belgian take on a lager, would say, and I enjoyed it more knowing it was a lager because of that. I didn't get too bogged down in the Belgian side of it.
Yeah.
The difference between enjoying it as a consumer and enjoying it as a member of a craft beer review podcast, Kieran.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah, precisely.
And knowing now that it's the cat pissy flavor that you're trying to avoid.
I know. You see, yeah, like saying cat pissy as a flavor is definitely off-putting for anyone, whether it's a lager or any other type of beer.
Yeah, I got to stop that because my mom listened to the very first episode of this podcast and gave out to me for using that as a descriptor, and then told me that people must have worked hard to make that, and that was a very insulting thing to say about Third Circle Trinity Pilsner. So
I was going to say, was that that episode? Or like,
yes, it was. So I can't use that descriptor anymore. So I'm going to go with the feline excrement descriptor.
I don't know if that's better.
I feel it sounds a bit better.
Excrement?
Yeah.
I think it's still excrement, is it? I don't know. I'm not a linguist.
Yeah. I'm just going to stick with cat piss. But it's definitely on the better side of it. That Belgian kind of flavor really helps it at the start. The smell is quite nice, to be fair to it.
Yeah.
The carbonation isn't, like you were saying earlier, the carbonation isn't as much as I expect from some of those, like Belgian beers, you expect them to be quite heavily carbonated. This isn't as up there as some of the others that I had. I think if it was a bit more carbonated, I might even make it a bit better because it would wash away the taste at the end.
I don't know if this is a stupid question or not, but I always feel like lagers are obviously this is a Belgian take on it, but like lagers are quite clear, and I wouldn't imagine there'd be an awful lot of like kind of stuff floating around in a lager. Whereas I'm looking at the bottom of this now, and there's quite a lot of like silt floating around the bottom. Is that coming straight from the Belgian aspect of it?
It's coming from the bottle conditioning. It's when you bottle condition it, the yeast still ferments inside of the bottle. So as the yeast ferments, it
Okay.
drops out of solution when it dies and stuff like that. So, or when it just can sediment when it gets cold and stuff, it can crash down to the bottom. It's actually called cold crashing when you're making a beer. You cold crash a beer to kind of clarify it and make it a bit clearer. But bottle conditioned beers just have that sediment at the bottom. It's just yeast.
I'm quite confused by this. It's got two things going on. It's like, as you said, Kinger, when you decide to smash two styles together, you would always expect if you do that a little lost on each side. Like, you'd sacrifice half of one and half of the other to have like one complete thing of the two styles. This somehow seems to have retained both flavors and profiles of both styles, where initially you get a nice Belgian ale flavor, taste, and mouthfeel, and then the lager taste hits you, maybe with slightly less carbonation. I think the carbonation is probably bang in the middle of the two. It's really confusing me because I would have expected I expected a lager with maybe a few more floral notes than normal. A bit of a banana-y or maybe a clovey taste or something. But mainly a lager. But it's a lot of the taste. It's gone way more than I thought it would be, while still not sacrificing anything from the lager side. So I'm quite confused by this beer.
Okay, so that brings us to the rating system for the Crafty Crew podcast, and it doesn't change from one week to the next. It starts with unbearable, then we have booze.
Booze.
We have just beer, then it's brutiful, and then it's unbeer-leavable. So I'm actually going to start this off, right? And having drank this before, and enjoying it just as a lager, and drinking it now, knowing that it's kind of a mix of a Belgian style and a lager, I'm actually going to put this as a just beer, because we have penalized beers in the past, kind of not for not doing what they say on the tin kind of thing. Well, bottle in this case, but maybe it's trying to do too much, or maybe it just doesn't work. Maybe, but I would have liked a much more lager flavor in this, knowing it's a lager. Now I'm kind of bogged down in the Belgian side of it. I think it's probably, and because I'm not a massive fan of the Belgian style in general, it's probably taken away from it a little bit for me. So I'd say just beer.
Yeah, I'll go next here because as it is a lager and stuff, I don't want to, completely poleaxe this in case the two boys are big fans or anything like that. I'll get mine out of the way early. Similar to you, Kinger, because it is that kind of mix, for me, that mix kind of saves it in this case because it has that Belgian-y flavor that I really like, I really enjoy. The lager isn't there too much. I can, that'd be pretty refreshing if it's pretty cold on a nice warm day. You'd be okay drinking that. You'd be happy. And for the percentage of it as well, at 4.9, it's not too bad. You're going to be able to enjoy a few of them, But it's that lager side of it that you get at the end that kind of kills it for me. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a good lager in my opinion, which means some people are going to love that if you like lager. That Belgian style, I think, is a big help for it. It gives it those kind of spiced notes that they're a big help. That's all I can say on it. They're just a big help. So I'll give it a just beer, and I think that's pretty good for a lager for me.
Yeah, that's a positive.
Yeah,
I'm kind of unsure because I was to be honest, I was kind of going above. I was kind of leaning towards the Brutiful at the beginning, and then as Kinger pointed out, you have that one thing that says one and does another. Now it does say on the side of it, it's a Belgian take on it, and maybe that's why I am enjoying it. And it is one of the nicer lagers I've had, but maybe that's because I'm not getting a huge amount of, I suppose, just say lager taste off it. It tastes a lot more Belgian, I'm finding. So
you can say it, Walshy. You know what you want to say that flavor is. Guys, you can say it. Don't worry. I won't be offended.
No. I don't agree with you. Yeah, no. I think I go back a little bit. I think I'll go just beer solely on the fact that I think the only reason I was going that little bit further is because it tasted more Belgian-y than it did lagery, and if it's supposed to be a lager, and I don't really get that, kind of drops it a point a bit. So I think it just beer is kind of solid.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna fall a little bit out of line with you guys here. I don't like lagers particularly. I think that's well established on this podcast. We all have a little bit of an anathema against them. I'm a fan of the kind of Belgian style, the wheat beer style that Natty absolutely loves, but maybe not to the same extent as him. I think this is beautiful. I think the lovely spice floral tones give it a lovely flavor at the start, makes it enjoyable to drink. I think the lager tones at the end aren't that strong. I personally think these are very like kind of dealable. I think there's enough carbonation to make it refreshing. It's a little oily, but not too oily. I think it's right in the borderline there for going down a spot. But for me, I think this is beautiful. I'm really enjoying it, and I think I would definitely try this again. It's one of the nicer lagers I've ever had, and I think that's the Belgian influence. I think those floral spice notes really complement this and really make that first experience of a mouthful delicious. And I think because of that, even though it does have that kind of lagery off aftertaste, that's not that strong, and the pleasantness of the initial flavor is so good. It has to be beautiful for me.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue too much on it, Mark. It's even for me, it's a high just beer. It's not over the top. It hasn't reached beautiful, but it's a really good lager. I would suggest anyone who's not a big fan of lager and maybe give it a go. But more importantly, try some of Meskin's other beers. They're freaking class. Like the Westport, the blonde is amazing, and the Carnal Knowledge is unreal. So it is. So I would highly suggest getting out there.
It's next level. Like it's next level.
Yeah, I would highly suggest getting out there and getting some of them into you.
Just before I rubber stamp the Crafty Crew podcast rating with my terrible Mayo accent, I wanted to give a quick nod to the side of the bottle here. I noticed this when we were in Westport. If you look just over the barcode, it says "Lover's Warning." Our beer adds to the desire, but may take away from the performance. I think that's such a great way of putting it. Like, it's fantastic.
That's beautiful, yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
And I still don't get the reference, but
Whiskey Dick.
Whiskey Dick quality, yeah.
Whiskey Dick.
Yeah. No. That means nothing to me.
Okay, Kinger, it's time to hear your Mayo accent. And you know what? I'm not too pushed about Mayo as a county, so I don't really care if this is insulting or, stereotypical. Really lean into it.
I don't think Mayo accents can be insulting. They're just a bit. They're like myself, except probably a little bit. They sound like a Galway accent, but a little bit thicker. So and there's H is on the end of every S. So it's not Meskin, it's Meshkin.
Yeah, and they're a bit more aggressive.
Do you know what I mean?
They're quite aggressive. They're like, instead of how are you, like when they say how are you, they don't mean like how are you. They mean how are you, like as in, I'm going to take your good day away from you.
Yeah.
I want you. You're having a good day. I want it. I'm going to take it.
Just so simply putting the hate on everything, I think can get me through this. So the Crafty Crew podcast are giving Meshkin a just beer. Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's
that's
fine.
fair.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Okay, guys. So, with the Olympics concluding this week, I thought it'd be nice to do a little bit of an Olympics quiz, like our quiz we had last week. But this time it'll be based on the Olympics, and a large portion of it will be Ireland. So, I got some 5 questions for you here. And as usual, the last question will have so many points going. No, I'm only joking. It's a yes or no. We're not doing that again. There's too much counting involved for me. So we're just going to have 5 questions. Walshy, you seem to have a question there. You okay?
Just a little thing I'd want. Can I bow out as I know nothing about the Olympics and never watch it?
No.
No.
I don't know anything about them either, Walshy. For the love of God, it's just a bit of crack.
I know, but like
Well,
I'm just
she's
saying, I won't have an answer. Right, throw something out and I'll make up a few answers. I make up
well, she's
everything else on
allergic.
this podcast.
Well, well, she's allergic to fun. Now, I will preface this that there's one question, and I'll let you know when it's coming up. I'm kind of like I'm 95% sure I have this right, but who cares? You know, I went through the effort to make the quiz. If there's a little bit of an
I'll
accuracy
care.
in it,
I'll care if I get it right and you say it's wrong.
yeah, okay. So, question 1. We all ready?
Yep.
So, what position did Ireland finish in the medals table? Kay Walshy, what's your answer?
How many countries are in the Olympics?
How many
6.
countries? How many countries are in the world, Walshy? And then how many qualified
They're
for
all
the
in it.
Olympics?
Okay, I have 20.
Okay, Nally.
I'm saying 17th.
Okay, Kinger.
I was saying in the 30s, like 32nd or something.
Oh, 39. Okay, we
Aha.
finished 39th. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write down if there's a tiebreaker because Kinger got closer there. Okay, that's
Only
going
the
to be the
tiebreaker
break.
questions at the end, like Jesus.
Oh, I wasn't arse thinking of a 6th question, Ali. So
That's fair. That's fair.
This question.
I can't help
just
it. I
too
can't
good.
help it, Mark. It's just a stupid goddamn. I'm not competitive. You're competitive. Shut up.
Okay, we ready for question 2?
Yeah.
What position did Rory McIlroy finish representing Ireland in the golf?
Fuck.
Have a think.
Didn't even know there was golf in the Olympics.
Okay.
Okay, think your time's over. Nally, answer.
I think he finished 5th.
Okay, Kinger.
I know he was in the hunt for the medals, so let's say 6th.
And Walshy.
8.
He finished 4th.
I was going to say 4.
But you didn't, so you're wrong.
Yeah, I know I did.
Can that be the tiebreaker question? I think it's much better.
Yeah, because you're ahead of Kinger, huh? Very good. Well, we'll see. Nobody has any points so far, so I mean, we may need it.
So you're saying Irlanda nil point?
Yes. Okay, so this is a 4-point question, right?
Oh, balls.
So I want 2 points for the athlete, 1 point for the country, and 1 point for the overall style of event. Which athlete had the most medals this year at the Olympics? So individually, who achieved the most medals? So 1 for country, 1 for type of event, and 2 for athlete. Okay. Kinger, you go first this time.
I don't know her name, but I think she was Ethiopian and she's a runner.
Okay, see, an Ethiopian runner. That's 0 points for Kinger.
Fuck.
Yeah,
No.
I think it was it Simone Biles, the US gymnast, came back and got the most.
You get 1 point.
Oh,
I'm not telling you why yet, because Walshy still has to answer.
I was
I'll take 1
gonna
point.
I was going to say her as well.
So you're going for Simone Biles as well.
No,
Yeah?
well.
Yeah, you are. Now you can't change your answer, Walshy. You told me you wouldn't. You guys told me you'd be honest, and that I didn't have to see.
I never said that. That's what I was going to give.
Yeah, you
That
did.
was
You
my
said
answer.
I was going to
You
say
said-
her as well. Kinger has
which
the
would have
parity
been
edit.
American and gymnastics as well, and obviously all
Yeah,
three.
so you get a point for it. The answer was Caleb Dressel for the USA, so that's why you two get a point. And it was swimming. He got 5 medals.
Okay.
Unfair.
Great performance. Okay, so this is my
Oh, well, we're in the lead.
This is my question.
Another called shenanigans.
This is a question. You might call shenanigans after this question. Which is the only country who's let's say representing athletes, you know, the guys that they sent to the Olympics for them, didn't win any medals this year. So which country basically, you know, no medals for you, hard luck.
Is there only one?
Okay.
There is only one, far as I could tell. And I put a whole 7 or 8 minutes of research into this, so it's pretty conclusive, you know.
I mean, that's more than we do for anything else on this podcast. So
Yeah. Okay, so I've been asking you guys who goes first, so we're rotating back to Walshy. So Walshy, I want an answer.
Kazakhstan.
No, actually, they actually win loads because they win all the wrestling and stuff. So hard luck.
Powerlifting and stuff as well, isn't it?
Yeah, Kinger
Russia?
and Nally.
Russia were 2nd or 3rd in the medal count, I believe. I'm going to go with unless you're no, because he's not saying the Russian Olympics Committee. That's different. I'll
think he
go
might be.
with
I think he might be.
Liechtenstein.
The
If he
answer
is,
was
then-
Russia
I thought so. Yeah,
because
Russian Olympic Committee.
yeah, Russia got no medals.
Yeah.
Fuck you and your
Well done.
cheating. You got no medals.
What?
And
Fair play.
let's be honest, none of us really trust any of the medals that the Russian Olympic Committee got either. So
Why
you
No.
didn't they get medals?
know. They've
Because
been banned
Russian-
for the last two
Well,
Olympics, Walshy.
Yeah.
The athletes can go, but they don't represent Russia. Like if a Russian athlete wins a medal, they refuse to play the Russian national anthem even.
Yeah.
Like they're barred from all competition. Yeah.
It crossed my mind. Crossed my mind.
The
As you
athletes
said,
go as the Russian Olympic Committee, like
Because you said Russia, and I was like, no, sure, they surely win loads.
they do.
Yeah,
like
They were like
do.
third in the medal counts. Well, the Olympic
They were in a
Committee was.
beach volleyball final. Like,
Yeah.
why are they like? How are they in a beach volleyball final? Do you know?
That's Sochi's a resort. Have you not seen the F1?
Fair.
Okay, guys, final question. So we all have 1 point up to this. So, very good. And like all of my
needed
quizzes,
that.
everything can be won on the last question.
Everything
So-
else is irrelevant.
Yes, pretty much. So now we're down to the guts of Ireland, okay? So here's the question. It's a little bit of a long one, so listen carefully. I want to know how many medals Ireland won at this year's Olympics, the exact breakdown of those Olympics, and the events we won those Olympic medals in. So there's a point for each correct event. There's a point for the correct total. And there's a point if you have the correct breakdown of level. So obviously there's gold, silver, bronze medals. If you get the right amount of each level of medal, that's a point. So you have a total of X amount of points. I don't actually tell you how many points you can get because then that might give away a hint.
Yeah.
But you can get enough points to win the quiz here.
So more than 2.
Yes.
I have a
Shit, no,
question. I have a question for you, Mark.
Yeah.
Team
a team
events.
event is one medal.
Is it one
It's
medal?
one medal.
Yes. If
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
But
That's
like if the USA won basketball, okay, so
Yeah, that's fine.
technically one medal in the table, even though every member of the team will get a medal.
Yeah, that's cool. Just to be sure.
Are we ready?
Yeah. Can I go first because I didn't write it down?
It is your go to go first anyway. So Nally,
okay,
what's
cool.
your answer?
I think that Ireland had 5 medals, 2 gold, silver, and 2 bronze. Gold in rowing and boxing, silver in I don't know.
You don't
And
need to
then,
give me the breakdown for the events.
Oh, okay,
So
son. Okay, yeah. So two gold, 1 silver, and a bronze. Boxing, rowing, and I'll guess equestrian as the last one. It's the only thing. It's the
Okay.
things we're good at: fighting, rowing, and horses.
Okay, King, you're up.
So I only have us getting medals in 2 sports, so boxing and sailing.
Mm-hmm.
And I have it broken down to 3 in the boxing and 2 in the sailing. And I have
So you're saying 5 total,
2
yeah?
silver, 5 total. Sorry, yeah,
Okay.
5 total, yeah. 2 silver, 1 bronze, 1 gold,
Okay.
1 silver.
Oh,
Okay. And Walshy?
Oh, and in all honesty, the only 2 that I knew of were boxing and rowing. So I'm going to go them
Yeah.
2. Oh,
what medals?
Sorry, the sailing.
I'd go.
Sailing is I did mean rowing. Am I not allowed to change that? No, that's what I meant.
I must accept your first answer, Kinger.
I meant the rowing. Like, I meant the 2 boys from. Like, okay,
It's way too
Okay.
late to change it now, Kinger.
I did
I've
mean
had a good
rowing.
chuckle
Like,
at that. I've had a good chuckle
obviously.
waiting to explain how you were wrong. How you got 0 points.
Man, that's very annoying.
Go on, Walshy. So
I'll
you
go
said
with
boxing and rowing.
two gold and 2 bronze. Boxing
And four in total then, because you're going
4
2 gold, 2
total. Yeah,
bronze.
sorry.
Okay, so Kelly Harrington won gold in boxing. Congratulations, Kelly.
Fantastic.
We also had a bronze in women's boxing. So two of
Yeah.
our medals came from boxing.
Did-
One gold and one bronze. We also had a bronze in the women's coxless fours, and Paul O'Donovan and Fintan McCarthy won gold in the men's double sculls, which means we had 4 medals total, 2 gold and 2 bronze, in boxing and rowing. Congratulations, Paul Walsh, full points there, winning the quiz, with 9 points to Nally's 4 to Kinger's 1. Knows nothing about the Olympics, my whole.
Hey, look, I knew we won something in boxing, and I knew we won something in rowing. So the rest of it was educated guesses.
Okay, that brings us on to the White Hags dry hopped lemon sour from Sligo. So crack them open, lads. I'm really looking forward to this. Before I crack this open, like, I'm really excited about this. Here we go. You son of a bitch.
That noise is one of my favorites. Sheer terror that happens when a can explodes.
Bastard.
Still excited, bud.
I am actually.
So while we're all pouring this out, just to give a brief comment on the White Hags can design. So they have this lovely WH combination logo on a brown background in a white circle with the White Hag Irish Brewing Company around it. And all their cans change the main colours of the can. There's usually kind of 2 colours in this kind of zigzaggy format. And I think I really kind of like that, because if you're a fan of the White Hag, when you go to the off license, all their beers are usually, like in the same section, and they're immediately recognizable. It's one of those kind of very good logos that we all kind of know as soon as we've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look
definitely.
there. It's a lot of like wavy lines and shapes, and the whole way throughout the can.
So, can I just start with the smell on this? Right. So, we know the smell of sours has gotten off on the wrong foot, so to speak. Do you know when you go into a bathroom that hasn't been cleaned in quite some time, like a public bathroom that hasn't been cleaned, and there's like maybe piss has been sitting in the urinal for a couple of days? That's exactly what this smells like. This does not smell pleasant at all.
I don't know. This might be just all the sours I've drank since that episode 2, season 1. Guys, go check it out. But it's not. I wouldn't say it's unpleasant. It's really tart and acidic, is how I would describe it. So yeah, I wouldn't agree with you completely, Kinger. I don't think it's that bad smelling as sours go.
I think what you're getting is maybe the dry hops. So that kind of dankness that you get from the hops is kind of sitting there at the top, which is what you expect kind of from a dry hop beer. But yeah, that's not as pissy as you think. I don't think.
Oh, holy moly.
Oh god.
Oh, I just took a mouthful. This is very, very tart.
So kind of
Wow.
what Marcus said, and I haven't drank it for a particular reason yet. Going off what Mark said, maybe it's because, and I'd probably say I've probably one of drank the most sours, or definitely very close to it, or I enjoyed them the most out of 4 of us probably. And I don't know, maybe I'm just used to the smell, but I don't find the smell that bad anymore. I was like, oh, do you know what? That's actually not too bad. But maybe it's a thing, like kind of Mark said. It's like you've had so many, you kind of get used to the smell. So you're like, oh no, that's quite nice. And then just to lead off, it's the reason I haven't drank it yet. Going off the smell, it smells very tart. And I like them sours that are very, very tart. And there's a small handful that I know I'm like, yeah, I'm all about. So, and then there's other sours that are like, there's a small hint, and they kind of let me down. So I'm kind of nervous to see what way it goes. But off your expression, I'm excited now.
So, Walshy, Markham's razor, the simplest explanation is usually the right one. You don't think it smells that bad, neither do me or Nally, but Kinger does. So, therefore, the simplest explanation is that Kinger is just wrong.
That works.
Yeah. Nally?
Markham's
Jesus,
razor? Really?
Yeah,
We're going
Markham's
with
razor.
Markham's razor. You know what?
Nobody knows to correct me.
You know what? I'll give you it. God damn it. I'll allow it. Yeah, it is. It's quite tart. I don't think it's not as tart as some of the other sours I've had, but it's definitely up there. Like, it's what you want from a sour. You know, you want that tartness. You don't want it to be sour and then it's just like just a lot of raspberry flavor, which is just mildly tart.
So just to kind of roll back a little bit on description, then there's basically no head on this. It's non-existent, and it's quite a hazy sour, like which they kind of typically tend to be. And as we've described, it's quite tart on the front end. The mouthfeel, the mouthfeel is pretty refreshing. There's a lot of carbonation there, and I think, like, let me know if you're getting this, but I'm getting like a nice fruitiness on the back end of the tartness.
Well, I mean, I'm glad to report that it definitely tastes a lot better than it smells. Even if the lads will disagree with me, but I do quite like I have a very sweet tooth anyway, and I know it's a different type of sweet, but I love, like, lemony, sherbety kind of very sour taste as well. So I think it's quite pleasant. I think this would be a nice drink for, like, after dinner. I would think, when you're quite full.
Yeah, I would agree. I definitely get the lemony flavor off of this. I can get where they're going with the lemon sour. I think this would be a lovely, like, hot weather drink. Really crisp and refreshing.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it'd be nice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. It's super drinkable, so it is, and it's only 3.5%. So you could crush a couple of these on a sunny day, like outside. You could definitely have a good few of these. And the thing with it as well, though, Mark, I know we were saying it's pretty carbonated at the start. As it warms up, that carbonation tends to drop off a bit. So it's when you'd have to drink quick if it was on a cool day, Otherwise, it would get flat and you wouldn't be happy with it at all.
I say a lot of the sours I've tried, especially recently, have, for whatever reason, there's a lot of sediment in them. Especially the bottle ones, but even the can ones, you're getting sediment. There's no sediment at the bottom of this glass, which for me is really good, because sometimes, you're finishing a sour and it's been okay. Like you're saying, this is grand. And as you get to that last, like, 15-20% of the beer, every time you're taking a mouthful, you're seeing the gunk stick into the bottom of your glass. And that is really unappealing. So if it's a delicious beer, you're like, yeah, that's just it. I'll deal with it. But when it's those okay standard beers, you're like, I'm not putting up with this. That looks kind of ganky. You don't get it with this.
Yeah, no, I've kind of noticed that myself, Mark. A lot of them that they're bringing out at the minute tend to be unfiltered fruit sours. So you're kind of getting the leftover bits of the fruit that's made it through to the bottling or the canning process, which, 100% it's not appealing. I don't mind, like, if there's a bit of yeast floating in your glass or something, you're like, oh, fuck it, it's okay. But when it's proper chunks, it's different. Like, it's not something that you're looking forward to.
This is a weird one, right? And it's purely based or going on the taste of it. If you put the glass up to your lips and don't let any, like, beer in, you already start to feel the sour on your lips before you even drink it. That's how unbelievably sour this is. Like, it's incredible. As our resident sour nerd is the wrong word, maybe, but expert. Let's say expert. Let's be kind.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
As Milhouse said in The Simpsons, I'm not a nerd. Nerds are smart.
That works. But I mean, I like expert. I don't think I've ever been called an expert in anything, but I'll take it.
For a reason.
I'll say expert. What are your
for a reason. As I stated earlier on, I was like, I do prefer them super tart ones, and I've had a handful, and this one definitely lands up there. Pretty much from what all you've said, it's refreshing. It's not overly strong. I do think what Natty's saying is, like, and I find it with a lot of sours, you're not really wanting to be sipping on it and sipping on and sipping on and leaving it there for a long time, because it probably would, a lot of that fizz and stuff would die off, I think. So you would have to drink it, not down it by any means, but not leave it sitting. But this is very nice, and no more than some of the other sours, like me and Kinger had one the other night that was unbelievable. This would be up there as well. So you give me a really tart sour, I'm kind of all about it, to be honest with you.
Lads, are sours quite sugary? You may have touched on this before, but would they be high in sugar content? I know the fruits would have, like, natural sugars, etc., but, like,
not necessarily. They tend to be more. It's the acidity in them that gives them that sourness. Like if you have lactic acid. Remember we said it before that you're the most sour man after the gym because of the lactic acid. So they have
yeah.
they have lactic acid or a citric acid kind of in them to make them that bit more sour. And a good way you can tell is that a lot of sours tend to be on the lower end of the alcohol. The alcohol scale. It's on the lower end. It's because there's not as much sugar in a lot of them. Because the sugar is fermented and that's what gives you the ABV. But like this one, for example, is a 3.5, so it's not that much sugar in it. It's more the acid that's in it that sours it up, and it can come from a couple of different stages. So you can either have it, you can boil off your beer, and then you can add in lactobacillus, which produces lactic acid as well as just a small bit of alcohol. Like those little droppers, like an eardropper type of job. I've seen people where they'll have that. They've brewed a sour, and you'll be drinking the sour, and you can adjust it. Like if you want it to be more tart, they'll give you the little dropper of lactic acid, so you can drop in a few more drops to make it super sour. I'd love to get that for Walshy and see how sour he can go.
Hey, I'm all about it. I'm happily try that out.
Pure lactic acid, nothing else. Like
I'm
lactic acid in vodka, and he'd be happy out.
I would genuinely love to find, and if anybody that could point me in the right direction to find me the most sour beer that I could get my hands on, and just to see if it genuinely makes me, I don't know, cringe or squirm a little bit.
You know what would be a good place for people to do that? People to do that would be if they got onto us on social media, where we have a bit of a presence sometimes.
Oh yeah, what's that social?
So we're on Facebook at the Crafty Crew. Yeah, we're on Facebook at the Crafty Crew Podcast. We're on Untapped, which is essentially Facebook for beer, at the Crafty Crew Podcast. And give us a follow there. You might get a sneak peek at some of our beers early if we ever put them up. Because sometimes we get a bit plastered and we put things up a bit early. But sure, just deal with it. And if you're, if you're a bit more old school, you can get us at the Crafty Crew Podcast at gmail.com if you want to just send us. And Mark in the last episode said he's setting up a WhatsApp, but there's been no more forward on that because we've got no one in touch with us. So
Yeah, I have no follow through. That's established. Like, there's no WhatsApp getting set up.
Okay, look, I'm not drinking this down because I'm actually enjoying it too much. But do we want to move on to the rating?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Can I not go first?
I'll go first.
Let's go with Nally first. So
yeah, I'll go first. I'm happy out with this. This is beautiful for me. It's a solid beer. It's tart. It's not. I've had more sours, but it's up there. It's pretty decent. 3.5% makes it super crushable. Like on a warm day outside, you could have quite a few of these. I think. Maybe 5 or 6 at 3.5% without going over the top. Really drinkable, really nice. I'd say for after dinner instead of a dessert type of thing. That's what we've kind of always said about sours. They'd be good for that, just to cleanse the palate. But yeah, really good beer. Better when it's cold. As it warms up, it might be it's a little more sour as it warms, but it loses some of that carbonation. And the carbonation, I think, really helps it. It's really nice. So I'll go Brutiful, and happy with that.
Yeah, I won't mess about too long. Pretty much everything that Nally said was kind of where I'm at. The only thing is that I kind of stated like 2 times already is like I enjoy my sours as tart as possible, and this is definitely up there. In comparison to some I've had that have a small bit, but not really enough to really make me want to have more. If anything, right now I'm just disappointed it's a 330ml can and not a 440. But sure, you can't win them all. So yeah, no, Brutiful for me as well.
Cool. I think it's real Moorish. So like, it's very easy to drink a few of them. Like you were saying, Ali could crush a couple of these on a nice kind of warm evening. I love this super heavy kind of sour tartness in it. Like I really like that. It's like a real kind of lip smacking. Like you kind of have to reset your eyes a bit after you've drank it. So, unlike Meskin and the Seven Virtues Lager, it does exactly what it says on the tin, which is one thing that I always score high for. So I would say Brutiful for me as well.
Yeah, so it's not going to change it, but for me, this is unbelievable. This is definitely the nicest sour I've had. It's very tart, but it's not like tart to the point that you can't enjoy it. It doesn't change too much. I know Nally was saying it does get a bit more sour as it warms up. Carbonation drops off a little bit. But this is so tasty. You're not going to be letting it get too warm. You're going to be swamping this left, right, and center. Even in sips, you're just going to be constantly at it. The 3.5% makes it sessionable, which is a huge thing with sours. Normally they're, either high or there's residues in there, or for whatever reason they're not really sessionable. They're kind of like a 1 or maybe 2. I can imagine myself having 5 or 6 of these. Warm day, yep. Digestive after dinner, yep. Just for the crack of it being delicious, yeah, definitely. This is now my favorite sour, I think, and yeah, unbelievable for me. No hesitations.
Nice. Solid.
So far we're coming towards the end of the episode, but this episode has really thrown the playbook out the window, because Mark has rated both beers last and has been more positive than everyone else, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm statistically the most pessimistic person in the group, and we have a large sample size that we can actually get data out here to compare and prove that.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is. I've really enjoyed that lager, and I've really enjoyed that sour. The lager especially one of my favorites, but that sour definitely. Now, let's be honest, I'm not an expert in the sours game at all. I've had maybe 20 to 25 of them, but I still think that's a large enough sample size to kind of know what I'm on about with them.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is definitely the favorite of the ones I've had. Now, I am a big lemon fan, which probably leans it a bit more to my tastes. But I think both of these beers have landed right in my wheelhouse, and I think that's why I'm giving them a little bit more of a positive rating.
Yeah, I'd say, Mark, the dry hop on this probably helps as well, because you're a big IPA fan. So a little bit of hoppiness in the background is definitely a winner. Like,
yeah, I'd say you're right.
So, Kinger, are you going to tell us how this does so in your best Sligonese?
Sure. In Sligo, that's going kind of too north again, but the White Hags dry hopped lemmy gets. Yeah, I'm just doing it. Gets a beautiful from the Crafty Crew podcast. That's a Sligo thing going to get.
Boo, Kinger. Boo,
Absolutely
boo,
terrible.
Boo, boo.
Yeah. Boo me. Boo me.
If you had a boat, what beer-related pun name would you give it?
Have one.
Go for it.
Stout and about.
Good. I like that. I mean, I'm just going to, just as a caveat, you're not allowed to use Galway Bay's Full Sail IPA. Okay, that's out. Because it's already anything
or Galway Hooker.
Or Galway Hooker. Any of them are out. You can't copy. You have to have a bit of originality with this answer.
What about the IP Waves?
That's brilliant.
Oh, that's good.
Stop taking all the good answers.
That's good.
Stop Googling, Nally. You're Googling.
No, I can't Google, because my phone and my internet will shit the bed if I try and Google it. You could have the Saison.
Shut up,
instead
Nally.
of the Saison. The Saison.
Shut up.
Nally, stop taking all the good answers.
Just because I can deal with this. I have to give you some, boys, because you're really struggling here. Like, if I get one more, you can all use one each.
I mean, IP Waves is the winner, I think.
Yeah.
I can obviously cut out all the silence of us thinking. It's fine.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's been done many a time, Kinger.
Many times.
I know you said not to use it, but it's kind of a pun off a song. Full Sail Away.
But it's not beer related.
No.
But how about this, right? This is a bit out there, okay? So, boozy cruisy double IPA.
It doesn't need a double IPA. Boozy cruisy is fine.
I just go with the boozy cruisy.
Boozy cruisy, yeah. But it would be a double.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I think it would be a double, But boozy cruisy, I don't know.
What's your answer, Kinger?
Come on, Kinger. Come on, Kinger. Kinger. Come on, the fuck with you. Supposed to be host. Probably the one that does.
Eamon Dunphy wouldn't keep us waiting this.
Come on. Okay. How's this? Aquahol.
That's okay. Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, all right. Okay, all right. Fair enough. I'll give you that. Look at
That
him.
was good. He's
Took the
so
bits.
happy.
I don't think Eamon Dunphy would have a better one, to be fair.
That's
I
I
won't, sure, he
think
knows
that's
He
acting,
probably
unfair.
sure.
would.
He knows acting, sure.
He'd probably
Nobody
call
knows.
it. He'd probably call it Eamon.
Yeah.
Or the Bodge Little instead of Rod Little. It'd be the
You know what?
Bodge Little.
Eamon
Just
Dunphy
Irish.
did have a nautical related beer. He named a beer called Marooned, and look how successful that's become. People don't know that. Eamon Dunphy has named every great.
Yeah, Eamon Dunphy.
I think
named Maroon.
Walshy is going to actually start losing his mind
That's
if we
a good
continue
name,
this
Eamon
Eamon Dunphy
named
barrage at the end of
Castle,
every episode. So I'll wrap it up here. Next week we're heading to Roscommon and Longford. So until then, it's a goodbye from Nally, goodbye from Walshy, goodbye from Mark, and from myself, King.
Oh, the green and red of Mayo.
See you next week.